right, it's going live.
Stefan, did you add your content?
Yes, you can see it. You can't see it? Oh, yeah, on the page, I did. What's going on, everyone? What's going on? We are officially live. This is the Urban Collective Show. It's Jimena and IC.
What's up, everybody? It's your First Lady, Miss Bernadine Truth, alongside my co-host, NIC. We are back in live action. It's been a wild collective. It's been crazy. How's everybody doing out in the world?
Real crazy.
I hope everybody's doing okay. It's truly been some time since we've been here. We're really excited to be back. As NIC said, it's NIC and Bernadine Truth of the Urban Collective Show. We are putting on this segment. We're calling it TUC 2.0. Given that it's not our formal, regular ways of programming for our podcast show, given the fact that we are all persisting through the coronavirus, COVID-19. And so in response to that, obviously, NIC and I are not in the same room. We are practicing in live living color, social distancing, but we still want to make sure that we really involve you all in our content, in our conversations about what's going on in Boston and the greater Boston community. So I'm really excited to still be able to be on air with NIC. NIC, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. For me, I have no problems or issues right now. I stocked up. I did what I needed to do, so I'm good.
Yeah.
This is something that I've been speaking about for months. As you know, you especially on this show, I've been talking about this since January. Every week, I kept talking about it. So if anybody's been listening to our show, it's a great thing. You would know exactly what's going on, what's happening. I know we've been out for a while, so we felt like we had to come on because a lot of people have been asking us, hey, where you guys been? And especially right now at this time where you have a lot of people that are, you know, just not at ease. People just want to get back to normal as soon as they can. Bringing this show back and doing this show is something that we felt like we had to do. And I kind of miss the people. I kind of miss the show. But we had to figure out logistics on how to do it because so like, let's get together in one space. And the space we use closed. And because of that, we ended up having to do miss them last week. We didn't want to miss this week's show. So tell a friend to tell a friend, y'all, whoever's on live. It's both on, not only on Facebook, but it's also on YouTube. So you can go on YouTube or you can go on Facebook and join the live show. If you guys want to comment, also, we will see your comments. So we definitely want to interact with everyone. So anybody that wants to comment, we want to interact with you. So definitely join in. We want to make this a community thing. If it works out well, we might end up having 2 shows a week. I don't know yet. Maybe
probably not. We'll probably record, but no. So NIC has his life, but Bernadine is still going to be her extroverted self with a social calendar. So we are doing our best to continue on with our interviews. NIC is trying to pigeonhole me in a corner that I cannot allow myself to be in right now. So
she needs it, y'all. She needs to stay home. Bernadine, like every other day, this is all I see is Bernadine talking about. About.
No, we'll get to how I'm balancing social distancing, but also staying super connected to the community in time as we get through the rest of our segment. But, you know, as NIC was saying, for this particular one, it's really just touching base with all of you, you know, making sure that everyone's alive, letting you all know that we are still alive and functioning, and just being able to really, again, provide you all a platform to continue to engage with us. So I'm happy NIC's okay and persisting. He's in his element. He's just like, I don't need to be out. It's fine. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, where are the people? But, you know, and if you, a disclaimer for right now is if you hear anybody behind either NIC or myself, it's because we are doing this from our homes and we don't live alone. So we've let people know that we are recording, but life will continue to happen and sounds may be happening around us. So please don't mind that and continue to stay connected and in tune with what we have for you all today. So this particular segment, y'all, is really just us checking in with each other, checking in with all of you. We'll be sharing some tips on how to persist through the COVID-19 virus that is taking place, both socially, professionally, and personally, right? Because again, in all of this, we have to make care of ourselves as well. And then just really just checking in with each other and seeing how we've been doing. So I haven't actually spoken with NIC in quite some time. So we have a couple of questions that we've just kind of broken down to check in with each other, as well as checking in with all of you. So if at any point in time you all have any questions and want to participate and engage with us, let us know for our first segment, and then continue to stay tuned because we want to make sure that our program stays very consistent with what we've been doing. So we're still going to have celebrity guest interviews for all of you. We're still going to celebrate Women's History Month, which is the month that we're in right now.
Yeah, that's almost
we have
over.
about 2 weeks left, and then we're gonna go into the next months ahead with April, May, and June. We're not sure how long we'll be doing this iteration of our podcast show, as far as being live in this capacity, but we will be sure to keep you all posted. All right, so let's just jump on in. So NIC said it earlier. He was just like, I've been talking about this, and he has, y'all, for week that was every day. He's been like, let me tell you, the numbers are getting higher. The numbers are getting higher. But I still want to ask you, NIC, like, what were some of your initial reactions during the evolution of the virus itself?
For me, I think last weekend was when it started to get very real for me. I have families throughout the U.S. and especially families in New York. Mm-hmm. And the way it was happening in New York and the spread of the virus of COVID-19 was happening so fast that people were not able to comprehend it. Yep. And even my job, normally, I work with businesses, I work with technology. Yeah. So because of that, they were starting to prep us and letting us know, hey, guys, most likely next week, there's going to be a shutdown. We're going to be working from home. Contact your companies, contact the businesses, and businesses were starting to contact me and letting me know, okay, we need this. We need to work from home. How can we do this? And a lot of issues are going on. So that's what started to get real for me. And then on Monday, right before I was getting ready to go to work, actually, was it Monday? No, Tuesday. Right before I'm getting ready to go to work, my boss calls me and he's like, hey, no, we're working from home. You don't even have to go into work today. I was like, oh, okay. I literally was dressed, ready to step out my house and got the call. That's when I was like, okay, nope, it's real. And I started watching the news. And all last week, just for anybody that was unsure, for anybody that had doubts, I saw a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Last week made it real. And then the thing too is, you start to see people that friend of a friend, like I think like what's the name of that 7 degrees of separation type of thing. You knew somebody who knew someone that had it or contracted it or last week because of just how fast it was spreading, especially in Boston. And watching California go in lockdown, I was like, oh wow, California, one of the biggest economies in the US, that to go on lockdown, that was very shocking. And New York also followed suit after that.
These are not initial. This is not initial reactions, though. New York and California, that's not initial. Initial is just like we just learned about it. You talked about the evolution.
For me, I was prepped for it. Like I was ready. Like I went, I did the shopping, I didn't know that. So, but last week when it was like it hit the fan, I was, oh, this is real. Like,
gotcha.
I was prepping, but this is real.
For me, I think my initial reactions to all of this in the beginning when we were talking about it weeks ago, I didn't really think it was a big deal. I was looking at it like, it's not my time. Thank you. So I was like, okay, like this is just a virus. It's similar to a cold. It's similar to the flu. Like it is what it is, right? Like that's the ways of the world. And so initially, again, like I said, I was just very passive with it. I feel like part of that too was also because like my work environment, we weren't shutting anything down. So like working in the Boston Public School District, like we have to think about our staffing, we have to think about our students, we have to think about the families. Like there's just so many people and moving parts that are impacted by it. And so in-house, we were super calm, cool, and collected. And so for me to think about it in the level of like an emergency just wasn't really in my purview. I was just more so looking at it like, what are we doing to take care of everyone? And is this really as extreme as we are saying it is? As the numbers, I think, really started to climb in Italy, that's when I was just like, okay, like this is like really, really serious. Because I mean, China had this situation take place since January and we weren't responding to it, right? And so I think in retrospect now, thinking about how early China was sharing this information with us and then how quickly it spread through Italy, I felt like in some ways Boston was slow, or Massachusetts was slow in reacting to it. But I think standard to how we react to things in America, right? It's not until it hits our own backyards we recognize how significant something is. So I definitely felt like I played a role in that mentality. And I was definitely reacting that way. I agree with you, and I see though last week is really, I wouldn't even say last week. I think 2 weeks ago on Friday, right when we were getting ready to shut down the Boston Public School District, is when I really realized just how intense this was for everyone, right? Because to have kids not go to school, to consider kids like not eating lunches and not having meals, or not having access to education and technology, and like schools are shutting down, like it was very real. So like even when you mentioned like how New York shut down, and it's shut down now, right? Like New York is such a central hub for commuting, and for like just transport internationally, domestically, etc. But their struggle to shut down the entire school district was also something that we were struggling with too in Boston. And so once it finally happened, I was just like, okay, this is real. And then when the government, and then to have schools shut down till April 27th, I was just like, wow, like knowing that we're gone for like 6 weeks at minimum, and there's no guarantee that we're in fact going back April 27th, and then like other states were doing it, and then starting today, the governor made another announcement that at 12 noon on March 24th, like only essential places can be open, and to stop traffic, like stop the motion altogether, was very real, right? So like no hair, people were making comments earlier, like my hairdresser, my barber's not here, my nail tech, like, I can't go shopping. And we're like, yeah, because it's not that deep, y'all. It's not that deep. So it's like, so now look at it this way. It's just like you're in a position where you can save some money. You're in a position where you're going to have to make it work, okay? You learn how to do your hair, learn how to cut it, learn how to style it, learn how to do your nails. I'm out here needing a lot of love.
I haven't done a lineup, my hair. That's why I have my hat on. I'm like, no.
Right.
No. I went and got a haircut like the weekend before, like that Friday before. You know what? Let me just go get a haircut. And I did a low cut too.
Right, and here we are. That's me too. So I'm like, I definitely need that lineup. I need it for my, I still got my edges. Yeah. I still have to have my lady cut in, but it's definitely doing better,
Yeah.
What are some steps that you took personally in preparation? Because you said you were prepping early. So specific steps, Stefan, that you took to early prep for yourself, like for you.
So for myself and then my house, and I was telling other people too, friends of mine, yourself, and other friends of mine and family members, the biggest thing that I did was I went to BJ's early, so I stocked up on water. That was the first thing that I did. I came home. My wife came home one day. And she was like, "Why do you have all this water here? Like, are you serious?" This was about 2 weeks ago. I bought like 6 cases of water. I didn't go crazy. I didn't go like, well, let me get like 20 cases, whatever. Bought food. I bought supplies. I ordered lights. I ordered what else? The powered radio, just in case we lose power. I didn't know how bad it's gonna get, so I was like, you know what? I went online and I did research on disasters, like the zombie type of apocalypse type of things. Yeah. So I did that, and I looked up. So I found like solar powered radios. I found lamps that you can power by like a AA battery. That's very bright LED lamps online. I even was gonna get like the big 10-gallon jugs of water, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go that far. But I replaced my like water filter just to make sure, just in case, hey, if we can't get water from a store and bottled water anymore, how do we go about getting water? So I had to replace my filter just in case. So I stocked up, got food, got meat, pasta, rice, all of that. This is the little radio that I got. It's self-powered, or you can twist it and you can listen to national news and everything on there. So it's pretty neat. So I went and got all these little things.
You got all of these things before this was massive?
Like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't buying. So everybody was like, oh my God. So like last weekend, when everyone went and went crazy, I went to BJ just to pick up like 2 things for my mother and for my wife. I was in line for about 2 hours, just picking up 2 things. Like by that time I was done. But I was like, all right, people need extra stuff. Let me go. And this was like last Friday. not this past Friday, 2 weeks ago almost, 2 Fridays ago. And yeah, that was like, those were the steps that I did. So I was like, I wasn't scared, but I wanted to travel.
For me, I feel like some steps that I took were nothing, and a little bit more of nothing.
I know.
For a while. For quite some time. I was definitely one of those millennials that they were talking about, where they're like, millennials aren't taking this seriously. And it wasn't that, again, it's not that I wasn't taking it seriously. I think that in thinking about life, I'm like, oh, like so many more like complicated things have happened in like my personal world or with like close friends and loved ones. Like it just wasn't here for me and immediately, right? And I'm being honest again, like I can't lie to the people. But the minute I was just like, okay, this is serious, I was at the grocery store. Like I kid you not, like my cousins live with me and I live with them too. So it's just like, obviously, right, we live with each other. And like I think like every couple days my behind was at the grocery store just getting some stuff.
Yeah.
Mind you, y'all, now y'all know I'm super busy. Like I'm always out and about. So me taking the time to go grocery shopping is never anything that I prioritize. So I'm like, like, I don't know, eat on the go if I even remember to eat at all. But for this, I was just like, y'all, I need some snacks. I need real food. I gotta survive. I'm like, if I'm gonna really be stuck in this house, like I need to just cook for myself. So those memes about like after this, people are either gonna become alcoholics or like chefs. I'm definitely like, sign me up for Chef BD. Chef Bernadine is about to come out. I got my meat. I'm gonna show y'all in a little bit that I've seasoned, ready to cook tomorrow. My pork chops. Yeah. Like now I have the time because like I'm not home to do it, and I'm not home to prioritize. I'm not here buying toilet paper. What'd you say?
Do you have a piece?
Yep, I have all of my seasoning. I make it myself. I make seasoning from scratch.
You know, I know you're Americanized.
No. I boil my water. I make sure I clean my meat with some lemon thyme. I make it happen to then season it. I'm like buying toilet paper, which we'll get to, y'all, because y'all are some greedy behind people out in this world. Paper towels. And then the other day, I want to say the last purchase that I made as far as like a personal one, to help myself out, is I bought plastic spoons and bowls and plates, because there's no way I'm doing laundry. I'm doing dishes like this every day. Like it's not happening. Like I need to be able to eat, throw it away, moving on the opposite, because I'm like this. I don't care. We have a dishwasher. I'm like, I'm not using it. I would say the other thing that I really put into like autopilot and all of this is like I did some laundry and I washed like essentials, right? So like I washed my sheets, pillowcases. Y'all gotta sleep on clean beds, y'all. Like seriously. And like undergarments. But I was about to go crazy and do all of my laundry, and then I had a moment of pause, and I'm like, "Where are you going, Bernadine?" So like, literally, only the essentials were taken care of. So that's really it. So I mean, I think again, like really making sure you supply yourself with I'd say like the bare minimums, which is like the water, some snacks, right? Who doesn't love to snack? And like make sure I had a fair balance of vegetables and protein and fruit. So you know, and then I've also made sure I'm taking walks still, because I think the fact that gyms are also closed was really difficult, and like that's something I was trying to get back on track and doing, and I haven't been able to do it the same. So literally before this show even, I was out taking a walk. I was like, I gotta get these 10,000 steps in. I didn't quite make it, but tomorrow we'll be back at it.
So with you preparing and buying stuff, so how have you prepared in response to social distancing, or what have you been doing? Because I've seen personally, and I'm like, I just be watching, you know, like that Haitian parents just be shaking their head. Just be at your live, I just be sitting there like.
About that. So I think this is my first full day of truly like not talking, like physically being around another like body of a human being that I actually like know. But I'm not sitting here like in their faces. You know what I mean? Like we're not like hanging out in like large groups or anything like that. It's just like we'll go on walks together, or we'll go to the grocery store together, or what else? Somebody's like drop something off to me because you know, like I don't have my car right now. Like I don't have a car right now. I purposely decided to like live without a car, which was perfect timing, y'all, because ain't nowhere to go.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's fine. Being able to like, I don't know, just Yeah, so social distancing has definitely been an experience as an extrovert who loves to be around people. But on that same end, I really found it to be really relaxing to be in this position where I'm just not having to be out and about all the time, and neither is the world, right? So I don't know if it's like really helpful with people who struggle with FOMO. Maybe I had FOMO. I don't really know. I'm like fear of missing out, right? I'm not
Yep.
denying because we all at home. So it's
Mhm.
great. So being able to sleep. I have also been under the weather, unfortunately, for about like 4 or 5 days. And so like it's been really good to just let my body rest. But social distancing has been fun because I'm still finding ways to connect with my friends. And, so listen, this social distancing is like physical distancing, but it's not keeping the socializing from happening. I'm doing
Yeah.
movie nights, I'm doing dinner dates, soirees, brunches, you name it, I'm still doing it. It's just through the
But wait, can I ask you a question? How are you doing brunches? Like,
because
sorry.
we come with our meals and we all come
So
with
you
our
come with the meals
mimosas.
and eat together. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. Stay tuned. How
For
about
me
you, like
though,
as an introvert?
me, it's perfect.
What's
Like
social
I love
distancing
it.
like?
I have been basically watching YouTube, watching shows, listening to albums
I
I haven't
can't.
listened to, music that I didn't get to listen to in a while. I've been listening to.
Okay.
Just walking around. I walk around my neighborhood. That, at least if I can walk around for 10, 15 minutes and just get
Mhm.
out for a little bit, I'm fine. Like I don't want to be stuck in the house for like 3 days in a row and not going out. So I grilled on Friday, and on Saturday I pulled out my grill. I actually went and got gas, propane, added propane to the tank, and
Yeah,
grilled
yeah,
on Friday when it was like 70 degrees outside. I'm like, oh, I'm grilling. So I
yeah.
made some burgers and some hot dogs.
So like
Um,
y'all couldn't bring me some grilled food?
Listen, I'm not coming anywhere near you, Birdie. Y'all hear her talking about, oh, I'm sick, and I've been
Listen,
talking to people every
you
day,
can just
right?
drop
She
it
wants
off
me to
at
come
the
near
door.
her. Yeah.
Drop it off at the door, yo. Like just be like, B, I'm outside. I just dropped it off. Cops
Yeah, the last time
outside.
I told you I was outside, you came really outside. We're not gonna
Listen,
get
hold
it.
on. I have to comment on this real quick because somebody just told me people are commenting on me coughing on this. Listen, it's not
Yeah,
corona,
I
y'all.
saw that. I'm like, yeah, you're coughing.
Listen, I know y'all seen those memes out there talking about people are scared to cough and sneeze right now
Yeah.
because it's like, are people even saying bless you? Nobody's saying bless you. Everyone's just like get away, y'all. I don't have this virus. I
Have you
have a
gotten
cold.
tested? Have you gotten tested?
I'm not in that position. Like I don't
You
feel
don't,
like I'm
you don't have
incapable
any
of
of the symptoms, right?
moving. My breathing is not compromised. I don't
Okay.
have the symptoms enough to actually feel like it. That's the only thing I have is a headache, and a headache is not even part of it. Occasionally, I'm a little hot, but guys, listen, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Y'all are making me laugh. Okay, that's why. And I'm drinking water. Like it's nothing. Believe in a sister. Believe in a sister.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I'm gonna stay at least 100 feet away from you. I'm not coming
I
anywhere
mean, first of all, we're not even
near
in the same room. You got time, bro. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. But, in thinking about being all right, I do actually want to, all jokes aside, really also take a moment to recognize, I think, a lot of the hardships that have come from this,
you.
in ways that, like, you've seen kind of like the terrible sides of people
Mm-hmm.
given this virus. And so NIC, I want to open up to you for us and anybody who wants to chime in, either send NIC a message myself or post a live comment and let us know what your thoughts as far as like observations, as far as like bad things that you've seen from society given what's going on. Somebody said, Stefan, you also sneeze. You better let them know.
Listen,
I'm not out here alone. I'm not out here alone. But y'all can catch this. Y'all can. Nobody who's watching us can catch this. Okay, just feel the love of the collective. But no, in all honesty, like, what were some of your thoughts as far as like some of the negative reactions and challenges that have taken place in the city or across the world, really?
Well, the biggest thing I think for me that I saw was the hoarding. That was ridiculous. And I actually went to BJ's a couple of times where I was buying stuff for someone else or just picking up one or two things. Like I was like, I wanted to get some frosted flakes. Like I was like, damn, we ran out of frosted flakes. Let me get some frosted flakes. So
Yeah.
I go in there to pick up frosted flakes. There's a lot. And I saw an older woman arguing with someone a younger woman arguing with this older woman. I was just looking at them And the reason they were arguing, it was because the lady was standing too close to her, and she almost like went off on this lady. I had to look at her, I'm like, hey, you need to relax. Like, are you serious right now? This is not the time or the place to be doing this. I'm like, this lady looks like she's in her 60s or so like that. Have some respect. Okay, just tell her, hey, can you not stand so close to me? But you don't have to cuss her out. Like, literally cuss this lady out in the middle of BJ's. Everybody's looking at them. And I'm just like, oh, bon Dieu. I was like, oh my God, I can't be doing this. But that's been crazy. Watching people, I saw one lady walk out of BJ's and had probably about 20 packets of water. Like, everybody's looking at her. And at that time, they weren't doing any restrictions on it. So this was like last weekend before the started. So they're not really doing any restrictions, but you're coming out. There's barely any water. Like, you was walking in BJ's. I went to BJ's. I went to 3 stores. Empty shelves. And that was crazy. The second part for me that I've seen that I have not really liked, and it's been something that it's affected a whole community. So the whole Asian community in the United States, but not just in the United States, around the world, this has affected. And that I do not like. I had some people that's told me like, oh, you know what? Now they get to experience what we Black people go through. I was like, really? Are you effing serious right now? Like, this is not the time to be doing this. This is not the time to be practicing the xenophobia. And the worst thing that I hate is that you have the president of the United States that keeps referring to this as a Chinese virus. Yes, we all know the virus originated in China. We all know this, but I need to keep bringing it up. You're a leader. You need to lead at this time. And that's one of the things that I kept seeing that I did not really like at all. But the xenophobia, I've had people that have told me and reports that I've read of Asian restaurants getting broken into, glasses, rocks being thrown at them. I've had Asian people that I've seen online talking about, hey, I was jumped, I was cornered by a group of people, being yelled at, I've been spat on and everything like that. And it's ridiculous. We as a society need to know better. Just that we need to know better. We need to do better, y'all. So if you see somebody outside, if you see someone and you're out and about, you see someone just bullying someone, whether it's an adult, a younger person, whatever it might be, step in. Step in. Like, this is the time to stand up and say, what you're doing not cool. Same I did to that lady when she was in beaches. I was like, hey, listen, this is an old lady. She got upset.
I feel like though, like in this day and age, and it's not to make excuses for anybody, because I think that the xenophobia is disgusting. I think a lot of people, what we're seeing too is a lot of fear, right? A lot of fear and a lot of concern coming from people. People are angry, people are concerned, people are confused, like nobody knows what's going on. I mean, at a point in time too, we were fed a lot of misinformation. People were like, Black people can't get this virus, Black people didn't start this virus, right? People only care because it's impacting white people. That's the only reason it's an issue, right? That's the only reason it's of concern. I mean, you see a lot of people too, people of color growing up in a world where, you know, historically speaking, we are not taught to trust in the government, are not taught to trust in systems, are not taught to trust in medical assistance either, right? Because, you know, unfortunately, Black and brown people have been mistreated in sciences and have been abused, taken advantage of, etc. And so you see a lot of the historical trauma play a factor in all of this. And it's not to excuse these behaviors again when we talk about xenophobia, because it's very true, because it's so sad. And so I did, excuse me, I too did see the memes that were talking about, you know, or even like tweets that were talking about now Asians understand what it's like for us and or for Black and brown folk. And, you know, like I understand the practicalities behind that, like the legitimate like comment. But to your point, and I think we still need to hold people accountable as human beings and say, listen, in this fight towards racial justice, in this fight towards ethnic justice, right? Like, we still have to acknowledge that is not okay. There are people who are beaten on streets and left behind, like you were saying, like stores and restaurants that were like broken into. So there's no excuse for hate. And I think about, as you mentioned, Trump, and I think about when he was elected, and the minute he was elected, people had swastikas up on corner stores and restaurants and places that were owned by people of color or they're historically marginalized, and we can't do that, right? I think that the other part of what I've seen really trigger me, in addition to all that you said, because I'd like to echo that, as far as like some moments of sadness, is that we're seeing how much of the world is not prepared to support people who are on different economic spectrums, right? Or have access to certain resources. And so in this situation, right, we're seeing a lot of changes, a lot of policies, a lot of bills try to be passed right now in response to a lot of what's going on. But as a world, we weren't prepared, right? So like economically, we didn't have a backup plan. Socially, we didn't have a backup plan. We've never been through this, right? So the last time the world has gone through something like this on this massive scale was with the Spanish flu, and that killed over millions, like 6 million people at the time, in a world where we also didn't have social media, right, and didn't have internet, we didn't have ways of sharing this kind of information. So those numbers are still very scary, but I'd say in today's time, knowing what we came from with the Spanish flu, even though none of us were alive at the time, like you would imagine that we would have certain systems in place because of certain historical events. And I think this one in particular is definitely going to make the world feel like they need to create strategies and policies and systems to be able to respond. So I guess that would kind of like transition into a little bit of the good that has come from this, because I think as a result of us not being prepared, people are now really concerned about like, well, who's supporting the elderly through these times, right? This is a virus that is taking out a lot of people, was projected to possibly, don't quote me on it, possibly target 50% of the US population. Only 40% of people will actually, 50% of us will be impacted by this. 6% of people will probably pass away from this. And 40% of people will not even show symptoms, right, that are like truly active in their bodies as a result of this virus being spread. So a lot of people actually might have it. It's just not really clear to people that they're having any type of reaction. With that being said, right, as I said earlier, we're paying attention to the elderly population now, like who's checking up on them. People are super mindful to not expose themselves or contaminate their loved ones. We're really understanding or trying to figure out how we're going to support people who come from a low socioeconomic background, making sure that they have food, access to resources. Children are, being homeschooled indefinitely at this point. I think that some states have decided to close down their schools altogether for the rest of the year. College students are impacted by this, right? So you're seeing a lot. I mean, Fortune 500 companies are losing money. The stock market is struggling. Like you literally watch this everywhere, but not everyone's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? How are we saving? How are we helping? How are we rebuilding our economy, right? So now there's this potential bill that's going to be passed to decrease our school loans by $30,000, a $30,000 loan forgiveness. There have been bills passed to make sure that everyone has access to the vaccine, regardless of your economic status. Companies are providing free Wi-Fi for people. A list of resources keep coming out as far as like how you're going to educate our young kids at home. There's compassion, finally, in my humble opinion, to teachers, because I think people take teachers for granted. Everyone who thought teachers aren't even doing anything, that job is not sexy, it's not beautiful. Hats down to teachers. Because these parents have nowhere to send their kids right now, and parents are now home tutors and educators and don't know what to do, like, right? So
I found it very funny, especially with the teachers thing, that now you have a lot of the memes that I've seen online. They're talking about, the mortgage brokers, all these high-end people. Where are they? They're not anywhere. In order for society to function, it's the truck drivers, the supermarket people, the nurses, the doctors out there that are making sure society functions. The people that are taking out your trash, public cleaning people. Not just that, people that are working in the water plants, people that are working in electric companies, all of these things
are essential, deemed essential.
Yes, are very essential to us surviving. And one of the things that I've seen also is, like you're saying, people are being more compassionate. Companies are doing certain things that they normally wouldn't do. And this is one of the things that you're like, why couldn't you do this? So
earlier, right? Well, we live in such a capitalist world, right? Where it's just like, but it's like you need to have the wealthy in order to have the poor, or whatever. You need to have people who don't have access to have people who have access. And I'm like, no, let us live in a more equitable world for real.
Exactly.
And if we balanced our checkbooks that way, it wouldn't have been a major struggle to figure out how to implement it now.
Yeah, a few of the companies that's reacted in a great way. You have Amazon that's hiring over 100,000 people, but not just hiring 100,000 people, the people that are currently working in Amazon, they're raising their pay up to $17 an hour. Where before, you had a lot of people that were getting 12, 13 bucks at Amazon that was not getting paid, working these harsh conditions on there.
You have people like Zoom that are creating pathways for people to have free access
exactly.
to their streaming or to their communications, so that people can have virtual meetings. Everyone's having virtual meetings now. Even though people have made comments like, damn, I'm working harder from home now that I work in an office.
You can't BS now.
Make sure you're there. Make sure you're there. But it's like,
also,
shout out to Zoom making it accessible.
Yeah, Comcast is providing free Wi-Fi to people that are not making a lot of money, for low-income families. Not just
people are giving forgiveness. Giving forgiveness right now.
Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T's come out and say, hey, if your bill is late, we're not going to cut off your service for the next 60 days. We understand that. You have also this is something that Canada is doing that I don't think we'll ever get to. But Canada has done it where basically they're telling mortgage companies and renters to say, hey, we are not going to pay your mortgage. You're not going to pay rent for these next 2 to 3 months. It's not happening. Do not charge anybody for rent. Nobody's paying for rent. Nobody's paying their own mortgage. So whatever bank that you're with, you will be forgiven because you will not have to. We will push it back for you for 90 days. That's amazing, because that's one of the biggest expenses that most people have, especially up here in the Northeast. I know across America, rent varies. California, Boston, New York. Boston, you're paying $2,000 easily for a 2-bedroom.
What I will say too, though, what's beneficial, what's been supportive and a positive, I think, for Boston in its response is also recognizing that because people are paid hourly wages, a number of people are being laid off or people are being fired. And so unemployment is now not taking a long time for processing. They're expediting that for folks. And in fact, I think it's been tough to have people be fired, but that's also been a strategy a lot of owners have been and business people have been taking, because one is allowing your company to not go into negative, to not be impacted more negatively economically, but then two, it also allows people to really collect unemployment, right? And actually collect a paycheck to be able to have something versus nothing. So that 6-week period is now, I think, about like a week. And so people are able to be compensated for their time and for, I believe, about like 60 or 65% of their previous wages. So we're trying to figure it out. So,
but not only that, too, you also have companies, instead of completely letting go of someone, they're telling them, hey, we're going to do a temporary layoff for you, until we come back into business. Your job guaranteed to be there once we start back up. But for these next 2 to 3 months, unfortunately, we can't afford to pay you, especially in the restaurant business. So people are eating out still. People are ordering. You're having people that are doing very well. You have some businesses that are doing carry-outs only. Shout out to Zaz Restaurants, a couple of other restaurants out there around Boston. They're doing meals and prepping stuff for people. You also have mental health. That's one of the biggest things. People staying inside completely by themselves, or or people being with their kids for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not being able to get out. Mental health. So you have a lot of doctors, a lot of therapists that are doing free online therapy because they can do telehealth, which has become very big. So some of the things you're seeing out there is very big and is very appropriate. We should be doing these things, especially for the pay portion and the sick leave. The sick leave for everyone. Everyone should have the same standard sick leave. It shouldn't be varies by industry or by company. It should be federally mandated. And this is where they're like, well, we don't want government stepping into that because, capitalism and industries and everything.
And I think, again, it's just like this, it's a process, right? And so in this particular situation, it's like, yes, we should definitely have all of these entities expected and available to people. And it's just about how do you actually carry it out? So even in deciding to close schools, or even in deciding to, just today on the 24th, as we're living this show right now, that the governor's saying, hey, only key essentials are going to be open, because again, there's so many moving parts. And so I hear people's frustrations too, like it should have been this way and we need to do this and we're reacting slowly. But we do have to think about the unfortunate realities that there are tiers to lives, livelihood, not lives, because every life is truly in my opinion, it matters the same. But because there are different tiers to how people operate in their jobs or have access to resources and things, we have to be more strategic on what's going on there. Because again, it just makes more sense to think about, well, if we were to lay somebody off versus fire somebody versus keep them employed and keep having them come into work, like what does that look like, right? So the MBTA also going down to weekend schedules to minimize the amount of traffic, right, within the roads. And I think about, our schools are being out of business now, but the people who are driving these school buses are now without jobs. So like it's just impacting so many people on different levels. But the positive, continuing on in the conversation about some positive impacts, in addition, I say to you, Stefan, in supporting some of our government and our policies and things, I would say in the world of entertainment, it's been beautiful to see, because you have like DJs, shout out to DJ Nice, and I'm going to shout him out because I was at his party for hours.
DJ D Nice, get the name right. D Nice.
D Nice, excuse me, but he's a DJ. DJ Nice, D Nice, Mr. Nice. You was just bomb. You was nice. All right. Killing it, throwing parties and playing a lot of music for the people. That's been amazing. Debbie Allen giving professional dance classes. Erykah Badu having a live concert. Anthony Hamilton doing the same thing. Like, you're seeing a lot of celebrities, a lot of people who have access, create platforms to make this happen. You also have that in local communities. So Sheena Collier did a movie night. The Bomb did a movie night. So there's a lot that like has happened in the world for people to respond to this that I think is truly positive for the people. And so to make sure that that is truly accessible to all has been very beautiful. So you're watching people across the globe. And I'd say my last point to all of this, as far as the positive, is that people are finally realizing just how much the world can truly be flat, right? And just how much like impacting one community or one part of the world can truly impact another one. So like we saw lives go away, like people lose their lives in China, over 6,000 lives lost in Italy, right? Like, I mean, these numbers are insane. We're seeing it happen in California. We've seen it happen in New York. We're seeing it happen slowly, but happening in Massachusetts, right? Like, we have a responsibility to respond to the people. And so as a community, we're all like, stay inside, don't let people into your homes, like social distancing is real. And then I think on the positive side too, we're also like, but we will get through this, right? So people feel like they're living in the apocalypse, like a movie. This is not real. It's like a weird normal. But again, understanding that we have to do this in order to make sure the virus doesn't spread. And we'll talk to you more about that in a little bit, has been essential. And so community needs to continue to be community. People need to continue to provide people with resources, continue to stay connected, and we gonna make it, y'all. We gonna make it.
Yeah, we
We definitely have to. So, I mean, and I see, what are your thoughts if we transition into providing people with some tips on how to survive and thrive this pandemic?
I have a lot of different thoughts on what to tell people. The biggest thing, there's different stages.
But where should we start? Are we doing it professionally, the social, professionally, socially, or personally? We broke it down for tiers for y'all, yo. So you know what? Even though we live, let me backtrack real quick. So we're about to transition into our hot topics segment, y'all, where we are going to, NIC and I, we shared a lot about our own thoughts, right? So we're gonna take a second to recollect and share with you all some tips and tricks that we've compiled, to really share with all of you on how to really survive through COVID-19, this coronavirus, in 3 categories. So socially is one, personally is another one, and then professionally, right? So we trying to socialize, and we're just trying to live our lives. So how do we do that in these 3 tiers, and how do we persist? So, and I see if you want to take it away with some tips and how to really maneuver through this professionally, and then I'll jump in with professions as well.
Yes, of course. We definitely want you guys, everybody, everybody has a job, everybody wants to work, everybody wants to keep getting paid. That's the biggest thing. If you are out of work, make sure you do file the unemployment to make sure you can collect your money and get paid and be able to afford and pay for your bills for these next few weeks. It's something that's going to be around, I believe, for a while. We probably won't be getting out of this till early May-ish if we do the right things, which is something that we'll cover about, which Crystal asked about thoughts on martial law. We'll cover in a little bit later. But for professionally, make sure you wake up on time. Set a schedule. So if you're getting up in the morning, you have 9 to 5, you need to be at work, you need to start your day at 9 o'clock. make sure you start it at 9 o'clock. Don't wake up at 10 o'clock and start working or anything like that. Set up a schedule, set an alarm, wake up half hour. You don't have to go out and drive. So you can get some extra sleep. I understand that. But make sure, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time that is that you need to start, wake up an hour before on there. Also, shower, dress up. Me, every day for work, I put on a polo. I get dressed and everything like that for it. And then also put a structure throughout your day. Make sure you are putting a structure on there for it. And take a break. Take a lunch break. There is a great app that you can download. It's called the 7-Minute Exercise app. Exercise 7 minutes, 15 minutes to do it on there. And one of the things they said is choose a wise space to work from for it on there because you don't want to work. I've seen some crazy videos where you have people that are working and they forgot they're on video. And certain things have been seen. So make sure you're careful with that. Make sure you don't go on video if you are not able to go on video. Tell your coworker, hey, at this time I'm unable to go on video or anything like that. So try to work somewhere where you're sitting down. Don't lay in your bed. Make sure you're sitting down, grab a chair to do that on there. But there's a lot of services out there for small jobs, small companies out there. You have Zoom that you can use. You have Blue Jeans, which is another third party. It's not that expensive, but it supports a lot more than Zoom does. Also, what are the biggest things? A lot of people are doing video. I know we're broadcasting now, and it's prime time. So the prime time hours during 8 to 10 a.m., 12 to 1 p.m., and 4 to 6 p.m. Those are prime time. Those are when everybody's trying to be on video. If you can afford to not be in video, remember there's 15 plus million people that are working home now. So all those people are online doing stuff that they're not doing before. People that used to meet in group now are meeting online only. So because of this, we need to basically try to just do audio only. Listen to some background music while you're over there. That's my 2 cents, Bernadine.
All right. So I will say, seeing how you took some of my thoughts, I'm not going to repeat what you do professionally. So I thought I was covering the professional. Nah, we're not doing that. Anyway, so moving on to how we can do it socially, I would say if you are really trying to balance how you want to just, again, persist through all of this on a social level, right? Continue to really review your day-to-day schedules and how you navigate as a person. So if you're typically an introvert and you're like, okay, when I typically go to work, like what I do when I come home is like, I like to cook, I like to clean, I like to watch movies, and extroverts do that as well, right? Like whatever your day-to-day schedule is, do what you need to do to continue to keep that implemented, right? And so when NIC was saying continue to stay on track with your 9 to 5 schedule or whatever the hours are typically when you work, like really do that, because then you can implement the same type of social balance for yourself. And so when you realize, okay, it's like 5 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, I need to create, this is when I typically do my meal prep, or this is typically when I leave work. So maybe you have an hour grace period. So maybe you want to go to sleep. Maybe you want to take a power nap. Maybe you want to now take that walk. Maybe now is when you want to catch up with a loved one that you haven't been able to catch up with in a while. Maybe that's when you want to video chat a person, right? So you definitely want to take that time to really implement that level of balance. Also create an events calendar for yourself in a cyber way. So yes, social distancing is still something that we would like you all to implement. But as I mentioned earlier, as an extrovert who really wants to stay connected with her friends and with her family, I've had to be creative on how I'm going to get together with them. So I've done dinner dates with folks. And so everyone comes together. They bring their dinner that they're making, of course, in their own respectable homes, and then a drink, whether it's alcohol, water, whatever it is, like really just, again, just being, but the point is about breaking bread together and catching up. And we do this through Zoom, or we've done it through Google Hangouts, right? So there are a lot of different websites out there that allow you all to connect and to communicate. So make that happen. We did a game night. And so we're playing like Never Have I Ever, right? And I mean, we're older than 21. So maybe you may or may not have taken sips of alcohol while we're playing these games. I celebrated a friend of mine's birthday the other day, and she was dressed up. We all dressed up in our clothes. She cut her own birthday cake. We sang happy birthday. We played a game about how much do we know the person that we're celebrating. So for some of you who are celebrating birthdays and you're like feeling crushed and you're like, I can't be with people, you can still be with your loved ones. You can still be with your friends. It's definitely through a cyber world. And I know it's different than how we typically do it, but it is in fact possible. So make that happen. And, so again, the game nights are possible, the soirees, the brunches. We've had brunch dates, cyber brunch dates. Everyone's making brunch. One of my friends and I are scheduling time where we're each going to make the same thing based on the ingredients we feel like we both have in our own refrigerators and in our own cupboards together. And so we're going to cook together, right? And we're going to have our own iteration of whatever that meal is. So there are definitely ways to stay social. If any of you have friends or family that you all live with, scheduling some time to hang out with them exclusively is super possible and helpful. Maybe it's just like, all right, tonight we're still going to do a game night, or tonight let's do a movie night, or tonight let's do vision boarding. So think about, again, strategic ways where you can implement that. You can use Facebook Messenger, your iPhone, FaceTiming one another. Instagram also allows you all to video chat, so don't forget that. I don't think a lot of people know that Instagram does that, but you definitely can. So for those of you who don't have iPhones and you can't FaceTime one another, make that happen that way. I think also Snapchat allows you to do some of that video chatting, so make it happen there. Also attend people's events. So if you're really bored and you feel like there's not much to do and you don't know what else is out there, Google it. Again, as I said, D Nice was a DJ putting on events. Local DJs are putting on events all the time. Shout outs to Boston. I'm gonna plug an event that's gonna happen tomorrow night on Wednesday. So there are definitely ways where you can still socialize with one another that way. Sometimes people can also sit together and watch a movie. You can stream Netflix together at the same time, play a movie together. There are apps that really allow you to do that. So again, community is still in fact possible. It's definitely going to require a little bit more effort, a lot more strategizing with time and communication. But I would say in this day and age, as I slowly transition into what you can do personally, that physical FaceTime makes all of the difference. So yes, you can text people, but use this time to not text and to video chat, right? Use this time to have video conversations with folks. Use this time to really interact face to face rather than texting somebody. If you don't want to do video, pick up the phone and call them, because my fear is that we won't end up socializing much at all, and we still can. So push yourselves to have those conversations, and you could still create a social space for yourself. And I see, let's both take it away and communicate personally.
Wait, before we go to the next topic, we are going to have some of these websites and links online. There's a few things that we have, especially for streaming the Netflix together. There are some steps that you need to do. So we will put it at the urbancollectiveshow.com. After the show, you'll be able to go online and go to these website links. We also have board games, a list of different board games that you can do. There's a website that we'll put up for you on there. And then also for the Netflix streaming and sending the movie, we'll have that on there additionally. So make sure to check out our website where we'll have all that information for you, just in case you don't know how to do that. I'll let you get back to doing the personal aspect, and then I'll finish it off.
All right. So then personally, if you're looking for that personal balance and you're like, okay, now, all right, so I got through my work schedule, I'm not feeling like socializing, like what can I do for myself as a person? How can I contribute to my well-being and my sanity? Similarly to what we'd be doing any other day, identify your personal goals, identify any hobbies that you'd like to really evolve on, hone in on, support, develop, etc., and make that happen, right? It's one thing to list them, it's something else to create a list on how you're going to actualize them. And so take this time to really develop that and to really sit with yourself. Identify big and small projects that you want to do, right? So is it, maybe you've always wanted to restructure your room or your house or your living room or the kitchen, right? So, that might be a big project, that might be a small project. And so ways to keep yourself occupied would really be like, well, how much time do you think it'll take you to complete this? Will it take you 3 weeks? Will it take you 3 days? Right? And so then you start working on that in your downtime to stay busy. Your houses can look totally different at this point. Between now and the end of COVID-19, it can be a hot mess or it can be completely restructured and redesigned. So it can really go any which way. So definitely make that happen. But really, I think the goal here is to really work on completing your short-term and long-term goals or big and small projects and personal goals and hobbies in pieces, and take your time to really make it happen that way. The other portion, honestly, y'all, Even though gyms are closed right now, fitness is still really, really important. In fact, I'd say it's more important now than ever because people are actually not commuting to work anymore, right? So you're not physically moving, for those of you anyway who aren't physically moving. So take the time to walk around your neighborhood for at least 30 minutes or download a workout app so you can work from home. I know working from home is not the same as going to the gym, but it needs to happen. So there are a lot of jokes about there's no summer body over this right now. On a serious note, health-wise, this could also be a point in time where blood clots and high blood pressure and all of that truly develop. So I want you all to really take care of yourselves that way and go out and breathe fresh air. Still keep your distance from people, but breathe, move, get your bodies running, get the blood flowing, get that adrenaline, and just again keep in motion. So you'll take your time, and maybe you want to walk somewhere really far because walking back home means like in order for you to make it, you really got to finish it. I'd say also take the time to listen to music going before you're going to bed, or maybe throughout your day. Maybe mix up genres for yourself. Maybe today's jazz day, maybe tomorrow's hip hop day, maybe the day after that is just strictly R&B, maybe it's Afrobeat, whatever it is, like classical music, jazz, like whatever it is that you want to listen to, give yourself that platform to make it happen. And then my personal favorite, as far as like personal development and growth, is really making the time to connect with people you haven't spoken to in a long time. I had a group dinner date with a group of friends that I haven't physically seen in quite some time. And this was a beautiful moment to be able to make it happen because we're not going anywhere. So the excuse is not your schedule is too packed, is whether or not you want to make the time. So develop yourselves personally, develop yourselves socially, and develop yourselves professionally. It is all possible. This is a new normal, but it is not, I'm speaking into existence, going to be like this for a long time, forever. And so if there's something that you wish you had time to do, now is the time to make it happen. Put your money and your time where your mouth is, and let's make it happen.
Yeah, so talking about some of these, Bernadine has done. I'm just going to let you know some of the apps and where you can find them. So, for example, you have a 7-minute workout app. It has a daily reminder, and for 7 minutes, you can do it. It does different levels. So, if you're a professional, if you're amateur, whatever it might be, you're just starting out to exercise and walk or run around. It makes sure I did it the day I did it about 3 times a week. So it's actually pretty helpful for that. But also for one walking around your neighborhood, there are applications that will measure how many steps you've done. You have the mileage tracker, the step tracker. If you have Apple Watch or if you have a smartwatch, you can always do the step tracker on there. There are playlists also for background music that you can listen to going to bed. So on Spotify, you have the Spotify R&B list. Apple Music has also R&B lists available to you that you can do. So whatever platform you utilize, you can make sure you find something to listen to. Music helps you out. It soothes you out. So listen to some soft R&B, some jazz playlists, some blues playlists, whatever you might be into. Especially during the day, have the music in just the background. You'll find out how relaxing that it is to just be listening to that music on there. One of the ones that I personally have been doing is reaching out, like you said, Bernadine, people that I haven't really spoken to, family members, the uncles, the aunts, the grandparents that you haven't spoken to. Reach out to them. Trust me, they will love hearing from you at this time. Not just the friends you haven't spoken to, but the family members you haven't spoken to. I know we're not talking to our aunts all the time, to our uncles all the time, cousins you haven't spoken to, especially ones that lives in different states. If you have people that live in California, people that lives in New York, people that lives in Chicago, people that lives in Washington State that are most affected by this, reach out to them. Show them that you're thinking about them. Show them that you care. 5-minute conversation is not going to hurt your day. It'll help you pass the time. You never know. You might end up finding stuff out that you didn't know the person was going through. You might help them out for that 5 or 10 minutes that you are speaking to them. Some of the steps that we can take personally to help you get through this terrible time that we are experiencing. And like Bernadine said, we will get through it, but we do need to practice social distancing. If we don't practice it, guess what? We're going to be experiencing this for the next 3 to 6 months. I don't want to be sitting at home for the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 months. Please. So stay away from people, practice social distancing, and that will help us so that we can enjoy the summer. We can have a lit summer, y'all, and enjoy summer really well. One thing I did want to ask, which I will pop up on the screen, we had a question that was asked by one of our viewers. This goes to both of us. I don't know if you can see it, but what are your thoughts on martial law? Right now, the president has not enacted that yet. You have states that he's letting states do it state by state. California, you can't go out. They literally police extra security on the road. New York is doing advising, and Massachusetts is giving you an advisory. So it's not actually telling you to stay home. By law, you can go out, but they're advising you to stay home, advising businesses to close. So what are your thoughts on that?
What I will say is my thoughts on that really ranged for in understanding the numbers of cases. So right now, excuse me, to date in Massachusetts as March 24th, 2020, at this time, I'm not sure again when this source was reported out, but we have 1,159 confirmed cases that were reported, right? So that's not even. What'd you say?
This was as of 5 p.m. today.
Okay, yeah. So as of 5 p.m. And so again, knowing that the numbers can even increase from that, right? So, of course, comparatively speaking to Italy and to China, our numbers are nowhere near as high as far as like reported cases, let alone from deaths. Because at this point, as far as the deaths go, let me see. So we have. It's just.
So
it's not.
China has the most cases. They have 81,000. Total cases as of today, 81,171. Italy is next in line with 69,176. But Italy has a lot more deaths and a lot more cases daily.
So what I'm saying is like in response to that, knowing that a lot of the reasons why China and Italy are in this position is because there wasn't a lot of strict action taken into place to really prevent the spread of the virus. Am I for martial law? I'm for people practicing. I'm for people really taking the advice.
Martial law.
No, I'm gonna get there, but I'm saying I'm for people listening to the advisement first, right? And so really martial law will need to come into place if people are not listening to the advisement, because the whole advisement in martial law is put in place to prevent the spread of this virus from going any further and from killing more people, right? And so in Massachusetts, again, every state is doing their own thing, but for Massachusetts, we're waiting to see, like, the real question is, are we going to wait to see more people die before we implement harsher restrictions, or are we going to trust that people can implement these restrictions themselves? So when I'm going on a walk and I'm practicing social distancing and I'm watching groups of 5, 6, 7 people hang out, I'm like, this is what we're talking about. So people are not responsible on their own. And so if we don't want martial law to come into practice, then I need adults and children to be responsible adults and children will follow the lead of adults. And so am I in support of it? I'm absolutely in support of it if people have demonstrated that they cannot implement distancing and understanding of how serious this is on their own, because that means you need the additional support and guidance or restrictions implemented for you to understand how serious it is. I, of course, want to hope that we don't need to get there, but if we get there, I will trust that it's not because we want to impose harsh restrictions on people and military like guidance and monitoring, but it's because we're not doing what we need to do ourselves. So I say, I put it on the people. Do you want to be watched, or do you want to continue to do this on your own and be responsible for yourselves?
For me, I wholeheartedly say yes, 100%. I want to have martial law enacted. My reasoning for that is, we as a society, we as a people do not listen. We don't take stuff serious. So you always have people that's going to find some way. So I want to go out, I want to breathe, I want to walk my dog, I want to do these stupid things. Go in your backyard and walk your damn dog. You don't need to be out there doing this thing. I just got a breaking news that said one person that was positive, knew they were positive with coronavirus, went and rode the bus from Boston to New Hampshire 4 times after knowing that. After knowing that you are sick, you're gonna go right to work.
Martial law has to people are not separate things.
Yeah. Like, people are not comprehending this. We need the government to step in and say, hey, keep your asses at home, stay at home, do not go out, do not do this. Yes, civil liberties will be taken away, but guess what? I'd rather have my liberty taken away for this brief period. I'd rather be told I need to stay at home for a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, however long it takes, versus having to go through this for the next 6 months, for the next year, because people are not listening. People always find a way. People always, oh, there's an excuse, there's that. I see the memes all the time.
So
it's like, come on, y'all. you see how many people are dying. And then the thing too, I think a lot of people are not taking into consideration is people are dying. Families are being affected by this. You have how many deaths in the U.S.? 685 deaths as of 5 p.m. today. That's 685 families. A story about the family last week. The mom, the kid, and 2 kids passed away. The 2 kids passed away. The mom did not know it was from coronavirus, and then the mom passed away. Like, that's ridiculous. Because why? People are not practicing it. The kids that was going to the beach in Florida last week. What the hell is wrong?
Playing games.
And now, guess what's happening? They're going back home because you know why? They can't go back on the campuses. All the campuses, all the schools are shut down. You're bringing that disease. You're bringing this virus, not disease. You're bringing this virus back home to your mom, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, and your sisters.
I'd also say martial law should. I mean, if it were implemented, it also needs to really hold employers accountable. And I'm speaking because I have a personal friend of mine whose roommate has the virus, had a confirmed case of the virus, and her job, she works in a hospital in the US, in Boston, still required her to go to work. And she's just like, I'm exposed to this. This person has a confirmed case. And so I think it's irresponsible too. Yes, she's an essential employee, possibly because she's checking people in, but there's somebody else that could have covered for that individual, right? And so I think we need to think responsibly as well. So they're like, oh, you can just wear a mask, but we're watching this spread. So I would say it's not even just people who are hanging out on their own social hours that needs to be responsible. It's also employers need to be responsible, and leaders of certain companies and industries need to be responsible too. Like, I hear that people in car dealerships are going to work, you know, and I'm like, who's buying a car right now? Like, why are you buying a vehicle right now? Like what is happening? But again, dealerships are open. So I'm like, you're shaking hands. I'm not even upset at the person who's forced to go to work. I'm upset at the person who went to go buy the car. Like, why are you buying a car right now? Like,
again, this is what I'm telling you.
So prioritize. So because we are not implementing these things, because I'll tell you this, you're not about to go buy a car when the car dealership is closed, but you will buy a car because the car dealership is open. So let's work this out.
Social service. Like, you can take Uber, you can take other ways around. People are just doing this because they're like, oh, I have nothing to do. What's open? Let me go check it out. It's not that they actually need a car. They could probably go in there, or their thinking is, oh, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get some good deals because nobody's buying a car now. They're desperate.
Interest rates are low, but I'm like, listen, interest rates can be. I hope interest rates are low for quite some time, even after this. I don't know, because I'm gonna buy a car too. But I ain't buying a car right now. I'm not leaving this house.
You better go get yourself a car.
Not really on my. But again, I can't project. Let me stop projecting, because you want to buy a car right now, go do that, but just stop spreading this virus.
Yeah, so I am all for martial law. I agree with should have it. I believe the army should be sent, the National Guard should be sent out, so that it's not just the local state that is just going to be out there. When people see an army and you see an SUV, you're gonna be like, oh shit, this is real. I need to chill in my butt at home and everything like that. Another question that I did have for you, you have a lot of complaints that I've seen online about this, is what are your thoughts? So you have liquor stores that's been described.
Over it. Close your doors. I can't even let you finish, yo. I can't even let you finish. When I told the governor to put liquor stores on that list of essentials, I was like,
not only did he put liquor stores on the list of essential places that remains open, on top of that, they did not put the cannabis industry as far as for usage, but for people that has medications and everything like that, you can still go to a cannabis shop and get it. What are your thoughts on that? You already know my thoughts.
I know you're for the cannabis part and probably liquor store too, but my thing is that is not essential. I mean, okay, correction. I do not think it's essential in the way that I live my life. However, there are people who may think that is essential. I am also furthering my concern of, if we are thinking opening up a liquor store is an essential, we got to think about the stress of this world. And we have to think about what is going on in humanity, that somebody is really out. The governor's saying the liquor store needs to happen, maybe because he needs to go to the liquor store to stay sane. I don't know. But go to counseling, go talk to somebody, go take a walk, jog it out, but don't drink it off, because we're about to, the same way the opioid epidemic came out of the medical world because people were just out here. I can't just blanketly say this, so forgive me, but in my reviews and in my studies of opioid epidemic, one of the reasons why that epidemic even took place is because doctors were really in the art of like prescribing people prescriptions. Sometimes they needed it, sometimes they didn't, right? Mm-hmm. So we have liquor stores right now where people used to drink on the weekends and for social settings, right? People are legitimately drinking Monday through Sunday, Sunday through Saturday, however, every day. Okay, my point is you're drinking every day, and you're not moving. You're not even going anywhere. So like the joking memes about like you're either going to be a great chef or an alcoholic. I take the alcoholic portion very seriously because you really can develop alcoholism through this because you are bored. People are eating because they're bored. People are drinking because they're bored. Like obesity is probably going to happen right now. Like drinking alcohol is probably going to happen right now. So for me, I don't consider that to be an essential. People will not buy liquor if the liquor store is not open. It restricts it. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. But if you need it, you need it. A dispensaries, yes, essential because it's medicals. Absolutely. If that's the reason, then that's the reason. But you have a specific necessity, right? But we also know that the loop in that is that people who don't necessarily need it are going to want it and they're going to use it. So I worry about alcoholics already who struggle when liquor stores are open and they have a lot to do or don't have much to do. Now it's like, yo, there's nobody around you. And they're still open. Like, yo, you're done, fam. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm not here worried about kids not getting food and I got to worry about adults destroying their livers. Like, it's different. It's different. It's just not essential. Drink water.
So I don't believe that the liquor store and dispensary should be part of that list. I know a lot of people are saying that it helps with the coping mechanism. You don't want to deal that as your coping mechanism. If that's your coping mechanism, you already have an issue. You have an issue. So you need to go seek a therapy. You need to go talk to somebody because if drinking is your coping mechanism, like this. No, I don't agree with that at all. At all. So that's about it for our show today. Unless Bernadine, you got anything else that you wanted to talk about with the people? Thank you everyone for joining us online. Shout out to Crystal, shout out to Donaldson, shout out to Taina. A couple other people. We try to post most of the comments.
Jessica Pierre for posting us and promoting everyone. So we're gonna get back on track. I promise y'all, we're gonna have a guest interview for y'all. Stay tuned.
Yes, we will have a show.
We're back.
I think Thursday, right? People, let Bernadine know. Thursday night, we're gonna have another live show.
Thursday at 6.
Thursday, 6 p.m. We will have a live guest, maybe 2, for you guys to ask questions. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll promote it a little bit more and get the word out. This was done so last minute because, like we said, we've been trying to figure out how to work this, how to do this. And again, we have to pay for this system and money. We're like, do we really need to pay for this? So thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. We love you guys. Stay safe. Please stay safe. Please practice social distancing. Otherwise, have a good evening. Have a good night. We always like to end the show by telling you to follow us. You can always follow us at the Urban Collective Show on Instagram, the Urban Collective Show, also on Facebook. You can go to our websites. Like I was saying earlier, we will post a lot of these things on our website.
Absolutely. And we always love to end off our show with a motivational quote to get you all going. And so in recognition of March being Women's History Month, we would like to leave you all with a quote by Doe Zantamata. All right. And Doe states, "It is only in our darkest hours." What'd you say?
Is that how you say the name?
I said Doe Zantamata.
Okay.
You listen, we lied. Don't come for me. Anyway, so Joe states, "It is only in our darkest hours that we may discover the true strength of the brilliant light within ourselves that can never, ever be dimmed." And so again, for those of you who are experiencing a dark moment, for those of you who are struggling, we do hear that. We do recognize that we're not here to make light of the situation. In fact, if that's you, stay tuned for our Thursday segment so we can talk about coping strategies through all of this. So again, in times of darkness, there is light. So Doe is here to encourage you all. And I am Ms. Bernadine Truth alongside.
It's your man NIC.
And we are the Urban Collective Show. So thank you so much for rocking with us with TUC 2.0 as we survive COVID-19. I will catch you soon. Talk to you later.
See you guys on Thursday. Later.
Bye.
Bye.